bizarre going into like a Walgreens or something. It's like it's America, but not exactly.
Almost as bad as Key West. Okay, I think we are broadcasting live to the World Wide Web, so we'll go ahead and get started. Don't forget to turn off your phones, he said. And Madam Clerk, when you're ready, we'll do a roll call.
Bell,
Here.
Curran,
Here.
Freeling,
Present.
Harrison,
Here.
Hinkleman,
Here.
Majerick,
Here.
Ott,
Here.
Pitchford, Ballrath,
Here.
Werfel, Yarborough, Elliott.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have 9 present, 3 absent.
Thank you. We have minutes from a few weeks ago, the 21st of November. Anyone want to move those forward?
Mr. Chair, I would make that motion.
Moved by Freeling, supported by Volrath. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved and it's time for requisitions.
Yep, good morning. So you have the requisition list ending in 103 that was from last week, and then 104 from this week. Does anybody have any questions about them?
I only had the one question, and we've already talked about that a little bit privately, but I just
Sorry.
yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, bring to light that one resolution for the drain project where we're actually purchasing property. I would have liked a better explanation as to what that actually was that we're purchasing for that money. It's thought that it's a retention area, but we have no knowledge of that. So I would have liked to have known what that is because the figure is, I think it's 165.
It's $165,000. Yep.
Yeah, okay, but I have no questions other than that, so I tried to get some clarification, and so is Brian Forrest, but we haven't gotten it, so.
It says it was for the Sawyer Village drain number 448.
I'm sure it's for just retention, but I would have liked to have known what that was for. It's a pretty sizable sum, so thanks, that's all.
Anyone else? Ma'am.
I do. I have 3 of the recs that I will be abstaining from for Rev Excavating. It's 74008 in the amount of 15,000, 74009 in the amount of 15,000, and then 24003713 in the amount of 20,470. I have no affiliation or association to the company Rev Excavating, but because of past matters, I'm abstaining out of an abundance of caution.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else? All right, we'll move to the public hearing on the park's 5-year plan. So someone will need to make a motion to pause this meeting and commence the public hearing. Moved by Harrison, is supported by Volrath. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Curran,
Yes.
Freeling,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Hinkleman,
Yes.
Majerick,
Yes.
Ott,
Yes.
Ballrath,
Yes.
Bell, Elliott.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 9 yeas.
Thank you. We've paused our regular meeting. We are now in the public hearing rather. And Jill is going to fill us in on some things, probably including something that was on the front page, I think, of the Palladium today.
I'm not sure,
Or
actually.
was it the regional section, but I saw it this morning. So please
Okay,
proceed.
well, thank you for this opportunity. I will go through my presentation fairly quickly, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I have a few slides here to follow along as well. So the county parks team has been working on updating the 5-year Parks and Recreation Plan. The current plan, the 2020 through 2024, will expire at the end of this year. And although planning for the parks occurs all the time throughout the years, it's now time to prepare the document for the 2025 through 2029 Berrien County Parks 5-year Parks and Recreation Plan. So the goals and objectives outlined in this plan do pertain to all 7 park properties. You can see the map there. And they do pertain to all 650 acres of the county park system. So there are 4 main reasons that we do a 5-year plan update. And first of all, it helps create and document an updated inventory of all the facilities throughout the county. It helps us identify needs in the county park system. It gives us a plan of action for the next 5 years and beyond. And having an updated plan on file at the state will allow us to continue to apply for grants. The process to update this plan began in the spring. We developed a web page and put the current plan on there and opened up and requested review of the plan and comments from the public at that time. The county park staff held 3 open house style meetings between May and September. And the public also had the opportunity to attend multiple park commission meetings during that time, at which the county parks were discussed in the future projects. A draft of the new plan was available for public review and comment for 30 days this fall. And we had the updated plan online available to view, but also located at 5 physical locations throughout the county. And then I presented to this group on November 14th as well. And I highlighted many of the projects at that time. And today is one of the final steps towards updating the plan. Staff we're working to submit this plan to the state by the end of this year. And this slide is actually wrong. The deadline to have the plan to the state is next February, 2025. 3 major goals outlined in the parks plan do help and pertain to all 7 park properties. And each of the projects and goals for those 7 parks properties are outlined in the plan. One goal is to maintain the park facilities at high standards. Many of our parks have aging facilities, and this plan calls for updates and improvements to those facilities. There are also needs throughout the system for new and improved amenities that will help with the customer experience. And an example of this goal is to improve our restroom facilities, which means improving aging facilities that we have and adding restroom facilities at parks that currently do not have them. And another important goal for us is to ensure that we have enough staff to carry out the goals. Here are some system-wide objectives. So what that means is each of these objectives have specific projects and plans at each of our 7 park properties. All improvements that we make going forward will either meet or exceed ADA standards. And what has been really helpful for us throughout the process of planning and developing the Silver Beach Playground project, we have learned of so many fantastic local resources that will help us with these objectives. And to ensure that our parks are maintained at high standards, we need to expand our maintenance facilities. When the parks maintenance facilities were built, the system had 4 parks and approximately 420 acres. We now have 7 parks and 650 acres, and we're still working out of those same maintenance facilities. So in order for us to maintain those expanded park facilities and acreage that we have, we need to accommodate our maintenance crew. Another way that we'll meet our goals is to continue partnering with outside agencies and volunteer groups. One example of this is the incredible work for invasive species eradication throughout the county. And then finally, we will always, in our decisions, we will consider options for revenue generation. And that is so that we can sustain the park facilities and services. Throughout the process, park staff has had many discussions with the public. We've received online comments, phone calls, emails, and those comments have been incorporated in the plan. And we have a list of those. We are going to, it's required for us to upload those public comments along with this 5-year plan update to the state. And the public comments really do cover county system park wide. So all 7 park properties and services that we provide. If anyone's interested in seeing the plan, I do have some printed copies, but it's also available online. It's been online for quite some time. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
Does the plan incorporate those, the mats that you can go from like the sidewalk and then go down to the beach, like for wheelchairs and
Yes,
stuff like that? I know we don't
absolutely.
have them now, do we? at
we
Silver
have
Beach?
one at Rocky Gap County Park. Our park staff applied and received a grant for that. And we have outlined 3 areas at Silver Beach that we would like to incorporate the ADA accessible mats to get down to the water's edge.
Any other questions? Okay,
Mr. Chair,
yes, sir.
while Jill is at the podium, the chair referred to an article from the Herald Palladium, and I'd just like to pause and make sure the full board understands exactly what that reference is. So for the past 2 years, the park staff, the Parks Department, and specifically Jill, has literally been shaking every tree possible within the community, attending Rotary meetings, service clubs, you name it. She has gone anywhere and everywhere. And she's officially, her team, her, and the county have crossed the finish line. So for almost 2 years, the effort has been on to raise money to reconstruct the playground at Silver Beach. And this is a heavy lift. So more than $1.2 million of fundraising efforts is now complete. She did it. And I think it's really worth taking a second to say, this is amazing work. Jill, you've done an excellent job.
Indeed.
I do want to point out our small but mighty crew. So we have Sue Patzer, Genevieve Graves, and Jason Field, who absolutely were a huge part of that as well.
This is your moment to note that if anyone wants to buy a park pass, it's the perfect time,
Yes.
perfect gift.
Thank you. So yes, with the holidays coming up, a great idea for a Christmas present or holiday present is a annual Parks Pass. And it's a gift that gives all year long. You can get it here today. And it's great for hairdressers, dentists, teachers, and loved ones.
How much are they?
$40.
And Jill, what is your target date for having the playground open to the public?
Before Memorial Day of 2025.
And does the Board of Commissioners get to be the first ones to go down the slides?
Absolutely. You can go down the slide, you can go across the zip line, maybe hold a big scissors and cut the ribbon. We'll let you we'll figure that out.
Fantastic.
Looking forward to it.
Great.
Really good work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jill. Okay, Brian.
Yep.
Grab my pen while I think. Oh, okay. Oh, Brian, before, I was reminded I have to ask for public comments since it's a public hearing and I forgot to do that. So anyone have anything they'd like to say about the park's 5-year plan or the playground equipment that's going into Silver Beach or anything else pertaining to the county park system? Okay. Then we'll have a
I move we exit the public.
public hearing. Is there support? moved by Harrison, supported by Ott, that we conclude the public hearing and resume our regular session.
Roll call.
Roll call, please. Thank you.
Sorry.
I'm new at this.
I just didn't want to mess up. Freeling.
Yeah.
Harrison.
Yes.
Hinkleman.
Yes.
Majerick.
Yes.
Ott.
Yes.
Smallraff.
Yes.
Bell. Curran.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, you have 9 yeas.
thank you. Now, Brian, we'll go on to the next item on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay. Members of the board, I'm going to present a short update on some work occurring within the street drain project. And this is through the county's drain commissioner's office. I'm going to do my best to summarize the project, but just note that I am not the drain commissioner, and I won't be able to go into a ton of detail on all of the history of this project. With that said, what is included in your information packet is on that second page. There are links to all of the pertinent documents. And what you'll see there are the contract documents, contract to construct, the actual loan agreement, and then some marketing materials that were provided by the Drain Commissioner's Office related to the loan agreement. For reference, you can see the area that's included within the drain project. Just so that everyone knows where we're really looking at. This would be the bulk of the project is within Chickaming Township. And there is a sliver that touches New Buffalo Township as well. So the very southern slice of the project, that's New Buffalo. And then I would say more than 90% of the drain project is within Chickaming Township. Yes, sir.
This is not on our schedule, but I just received a text about 10 minutes ago that from Joe. He became a dad a couple of hours ago. He said Apollo made his appearance at 5:28 a.m. Did you heard that or? Well, thanks, Rick, for telling us. Anyway, congratulations to all involved. It's a group effort, a joint effort at least, and then the doctor. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, it's worth noting that the perfect new baby present is a Berrien County Parks Pass.
That's true. That's true.
So you can all get in line.
Right.
All right, continuing on. So here's the drainage district. The bulk of this is in Chickaming Township. This is a copy of the apportionment notice that was shared with the county. I've highlighted just the real relevant sections here, which is just noting the percentage of the project, that 14A calculation that's being assessed to the road department and then to the county. Our total between the two departments, looking at about $3.6 million that'll be owed. The more important note is at the bottom there, which notes that the initial payment of $90,000 would be due and the interest rate of 5.72%. That's the thing that I'll just keep coming back to is that 5.72%. A copy of the assessment roll is here. Now, this is just the first page of 14 pages. And in your packet, if you click on that hyperlink, you can find all 14 pages of the assessment roll. You can see at the very top, we've got Chickaming Township, New Buffalo Township, then the road department, and lastly, the county. So again, this ties back to the amounts stated on the prior page. Okay, so the information that I really just want the board to focus on is, again, this project is being financed with a private loan. It's a 20-year note at an interest rate of 5.72%. The loan document, again, is in your packet just via the link, but I've asked for some help from Thaddeus to review this. And put simply, we know that as early as summer of 2025, first payment will be due. And at that time, we believe that a refinancing can occur. Now, Thaddeus, if I'm saying anything that is incorrect, feel free to chime in.
No, that's accurate. There are prepayment options under the note without penalty.
And before I go any further, I just want to again restate, the importance of this project is in no way being questioned. I am not implying, I am not stating that the project should stop. I am in no way saying that this project is not appropriate. The project is needed. The project is being partially funded by Chickaming Township, by New Buffalo Township, and this is something that is years in the making. There are residents dealing with flooding. County administration is no way arguing that there's not a need for the project. The argument is on the use of that 5.72% loan over a 20-year period. So some thoughts on this is beginning 2025, you all are familiar with the fact that there's going to be some turnover in the Drain Commissioner's office. We do have the Drain Commissioner-elect in the room. He and I have had a number of conversations on this project, and I think that we're in alignment that there is an opportunity through working between the Drain Commissioner's office and the Board of Commissioners. There's an opportunity to bring down the cost of the project to everyone being impacted by the project. If the Board of Commissioners is desirous of working with the Drain Commissioner, pursuing full faith and credit, we know that we can bring down the cost of the project by a substantial amount. And when I say substantial, I mean, we're talking about real dollars. So this is just a sample that was put together by the county's finance department. If we were to refinance in 2025, using full faith and credit of the county, we feel pretty confident that a 20-year note at 3.5% would be very feasible. And in just 30 seconds of Googling, you can find that bonds are closing within the state of Michigan in that 3.5% range. But there's also a chance that number could be lower. And if we were to pursue at 3.5% a refinance, the total savings over the 20-year note would be over $4.5 million. It makes total and complete sense to work in collaboration with the Drain office to get this thing refinanced as quickly as possible. My thought would be that as soon as you all take office in January, we start the conversation with Mr. McManus to get that full faith and credit review started, and that we begin actively pursuing the refinancing. Best case scenario, we probably are looking at 90 days from start to finish to get the refinancing completed. We believe that roughly July would be the time to have this thing finalized so that we can get off of the 5.72% private loan. I think this is a complete, quite frankly, this is a no-brainer. We need to get it done. Okay, there's more information here, but I'll pause. I see a couple of hands going up. Mr. Chair, what's your pleasure?
Well, let's find out who has questions.
Christopher invited to inform us on this information today?
Mike.
So I'll repeat the question. Just remind you the mics. Commissioner Volrath asked, was the Drain Commissioner, the current Drain Commissioner, Commissioner Quattrin, was he invited to today's meeting? The answer is yes. Last week, I notified him that this presentation would occur. He responded that he would not attend.
Okay.
Yesterday, I made sure that he was reminded that since last week's meeting was canceled, that the topic was again on today's schedule. So, yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, John.
Just
and
real
then
quickly,
Alex.
the reason that we're commissioners is taxpayer value, right? And the one thing that I would like to see happen as we progress, I think it was slide number 5 that you had up here, was the slide for individual people. Yeah, it was. There you go, the assessment roll. I would like to see what that changes to, what the real impact is when we change from 5.72 to whatever that new figure is, you know?
Yes, sir.
And because that's the reason that we have worked so hard in the county to maintain our credit rating to keep our credit rating as good as it can possibly be so that we can offer these kind of savings to our, and so I'm just, why anybody would do this at 572 is just beyond me, so.
Alex, did you have something?
Can answer, I'm kind of new to how the bond issue works here and then the assessments. People are already paying taxes into the county, so the drain department does a job like they did in Bridgman, the Tanner Creek. That is assessed to the city of Bridgman, Lake Township and the property owners. So they're being taxed twice because now they're being taxed for their property values and the assessment of the drain. Can't the county, does a bond do the exact same thing, or does the bond take the assessment off of the taxpayer? You understand my question?
Yeah, so the bond is going to be the funding pool that is set up to be able to fund the construction of these improvements. The assessment is the tool then to recover the cost to pay for that loan that was established. You would use an assessment when you're constructing an improvement that provides a direct benefit to a limited area. So in this case, you've got flooding in that street area. They are being assessed to pay a portion of the overall expense that will fix that flooding issue.
Well, then maybe the next part of that is for the drain department, I guess, but doesn't the drain department have an emergency fund budget that can be used? Oh, they don't have any?
And the total project cost of this is roughly $15 million. This is a massively expensive drain improvement project. It does include some drinking water and sanitary sewer work on behalf of Chickaming Township. The township is covering that expense separate of the drain project.
Okay, I was at a get together with a bunch of people in Chickaming, and this assessment was pretty heavy on their questions, and they want to know why the county why they have to be assessed this amount when they're already paying taxes, or, property taxes. I don't have any,
I guess what I would say is the county is paying a major portion of this project. And moreover, when the county is paying that, that means everyone from Niles up to Watervliet to Coloma and beyond is indirectly paying for an improvement that benefits a direct area.
Alex, before we field more questions, if anyone asks you in the context of saying I'm paying property taxes, why am I getting assessed as well? The theory behind an assessment district, special assessment, targeted geographic area, and the assessment is supposed to reflect the value of the public improvement on the private property. So it's not a tax. Might feel like one when it comes out of your wallet, but it's supposed to be a mirror image of the value benefit to your property. The assessment is supposed to equal that. Okay, that's the theory. Now, when it's spread on the governmental units, whether it's the county or townships, that's not really how it works. But on the property, the private property, it's supposed to reflect the benefit being conferred upon that property.
I kind of understand it, but then, when a lot of them were the elderly who are fixed income, even a little bit of an increase on them is rough right now.
Yeah.
So that was
Sure, and with it being an assessment, not a tax, there's
Right.
no senior citizen break.
And just to follow up on that statement, sir, that right there is the importance of active collaboration. Anything you can do to bring down the total project cost is going to provide a direct benefit to literally everyone. And on this case, we believe that by pursuing full faith and credit and issuing the debt in a more standard approach, at a minimum, it's $4.5 million of savings that can be achieved over that 20-year note.
And then if the construction cost is reduced, we pay it more off quicker, so the assessment.
Correct.
Cherry, then Bob.
I was gonna kind of say some of the similar things that you had said, in that the drain code is very specific in how this is assessed to those properties. But I want to make the rest of the board aware and public There was a financing meeting that happened, what was it, 2.5 weeks ago? Something like that. It was on a Friday. I came to that just to listen and hear, and also to hear from our administrator speaking to the drain commissioner of asking to pursue a more normal approach for financing options like full faith and credit. And the drain commissioner at that time had said he would consider it and he would get back to the administrator at the end of the day. And that follow-up never happened. And so the other part that's frustrating when we talk about real dollars is that there's a water and sewer component of this, and there are grant dollars out there, and there are other avenues to have pursued to be able to finance that. And this has been ongoing for 5 years. This was bid out when I looked at what material was sent to us. This was bid out last year. So we're waiting a full year before it's coming to this board. Well, I mean, we don't really have a say in it, except that we'd be willing to collaborate and have discussion with the drain office to be able to save taxpayers some money, because the interest, it's real.
November 22nd.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I'm frustrated with it, but
I mean, well, this is very interesting topic. I guess my question is, are there other high interest rate debt that he's procured for projects? And do we have a sense of whether any of if he's done that, are there others that might be suitable for refinancing?
So at this point, assuming that the board is desirous of pursuing full faith and credit, which I think that'll be a solid yes. Assuming that there's a desire to do that, we'll take a look at all of the existing notes and see what we can try to roll into a refinancing. I have asked the question if any additional projects are likely to be pushed through in the remaining months of December. At this point, I believe the answer is no, but I will continue asking the question in writing just to make sure that there's no surprise loan issuances. To follow up on Commissioner Freeling's statement, so the meeting occurred on the 22nd. I did push to use just full faith and credit. Ultimately, that tool was not pursued, but the good news is, and I'll just keep preaching the positive, you have Mr. McManus here today. We have had multiple conversations prior to the 22nd and after the 22nd. I believe that there is a true desire to work in collaboration to get this private loan refinanced to bring down the debt. And I'm hopeful that at a minimum, you should see a $4.5 million savings that'll be materialized as early as July of this year. There are a couple of more points that I just wanted to make sure that you all saw in this presentation, and I'm going to go quickly now because I know we're bumping up against the clock. Yes, sir.
Whoever happens to be watching upstairs, we've got road department coming to admin, treasurer coming to finance. If they can be advised that we're going to be running over. I don't think PHS has anyone coming in, but I think you're doing pension review and such, and looking at the evaluations for corporate counsel and the administrator. So if treasurer and road department director can be notified, we'll be a little late. Go ahead, sorry.
So just moving through this, I will look forward to working with you all and Mr. McManus on addressing that full faith and credit. And then back in October, the board signed off on the purchase of 36 acres of property in the Three Oaks Village. This is the authorizing resolution. And this ties back to the Schwartz Drain project. And this is, a near decade-long issue. The property has been acquired. The board controls the title, controls the future of that property. Over the last couple of months, working with your in-house staff, Dan Fetty has done a bunch of heavy lifting on this. Myself, Commissioner Freeling, have met with a couple of interested buyers who had been looking at the piece of property over the last 2 years. So where we're at today is we have we're nearly completed with the phase one, phase two environmental reports. That's something that it would be a standard practice to get those completed at the time of property purchase to ensure that any past environmental liability, that you don't inherit that. Additionally, we found as part of that phase one, phase two work, an on-site tank was found. We're in the process of getting that removed and that remediation effort completed. Additionally, we're having an updated survey prepared so that when the board is ready to sell this property, assuming the board has a desire to sell it, that you'll be able to do that and have a very clear title at the time of sale. So that's the background work. Yes, sir.
Did you want to mention Chickaming open lands also?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'll hit that.
Okay.
So, over the last couple of years, we have met with a private home builder that has expressed formal interest, even to the extent that a draft buy-sell agreement was prepared. Unfortunately, no action occurred on that. Met with them again in the last 2 weeks. They still have a high degree of interest in acquiring the property. We have also met with village leadership, making clear to them that if Village of Three Oaks wants to acquire the property, that they will have a window of opportunity to put together a proposal for it. However, if they want the county to get it sold and just work in tandem with them on any housing development, we made clear that we're happy to partner in that way. And then lastly, Chickaming Open Lands has come to the table and expressed a high degree of interest in acquiring up to all 36 acres or a portion of the back piece of the property. So where we're at now is, as we get into January, we're going to complete the environmental reports. We are going to complete the survey, and then I'm going to be sitting with the board and laying out what your options are. It'll be the board's decision as to, do you sell a portion? Do you sell all of it? Or do you sit on it? It will be the board's decision and no one else's. But what I can tell you today is you do have some options. And if the board said, Brian, get this done ASAP, I would anticipate that as early as spring of 25, you could have this property sold. Yes, sir.
Just a footnote, the property abuts a village park. Chickaming Open Lands had some interest, I think, because of that. The south part of the property is amenable to incorporation with that existing village park.
Mac, there's a map up on the screen if you want to reference it.
Okay. What are the directions? Is this north? So down here, where you can see it's a little darker. And then over and up a little bit is the village park. It's conceivable, maybe even beneficial, to look at tying those together, expanding, and with Chickaming, they may be able to work with the village, have some passive recreation opportunities. But the north part is more suitable for residential, single-family development. Might need to berm it because there's a mobile home park to the west. But by purchasing this, the county has relieved 104 property owners from the burden of almost $600,000 in assessments. We talked about assessments a little earlier, public benefit conferred, this is what you pay. It would be challenging to justify the public benefit to those 104 property owners to have that 600 grand spread across their properties. So that's not going to happen now. Those folks they've had that potential burden lifted off their shoulders. And the village and the township are working together. There's a need in that area for single family housing. So, and not only a need, but a need for affordable single family housing. I would also note that there had been numerous discussions with the current drain commissioner, and that did culminate in his signing a quitclaim deed to transfer the property to the county. Otherwise, we would not have been able to do any of this. So back to you.
So to the board, the thing that I want to stress is this is a positive moment. We know that we have at least 2 potential buyers. We know that there has been a local realtor that has worked on this for the past couple of years without being able to get it successfully completed for sale. We've restarted the conversation with that realtor. My goal is to bring an engagement to the board to consider. That would be part of your early meeting schedule in January. But I believe that through active marketing, at a minimum, you're going to have a couple of sale options and potentially more than that. We're in regular communication with village leadership about what is their desire to see here. Is it open space? Is it a mix of open space and commercial? Is it open space and residential? We will continue those conversations to make sure that whatever we're working on aligns with their local plans, and quite frankly, that they are willing and able to use any tools that are suggested, specifically brownfield or some type of tax increment financing tool. My point on all of this is, as we get into the early part of 2025, the board's going to be asked to give some direction on what do you want to see at this site and what is your top priority? Is it getting it sold for every dollar possible? Is it getting it sold with a small loss, but bringing something that better aligns with the village? Or is it just holding on to the property for an indefinite period of time? These are all options, and it's going to be this board that gets to choose what the future is for that piece of property. Mr. Chair, I could keep going, but I recognize
That's fine.
that
I think we have a question here, madam.
More just a comment, because I had been sitting in on some conversations, and I had been asked to also sit in on some of the conversations with the current drain commission's office. And so the conversations that are going on with those that are privately interested in the property were happening with Drain Commissioner Quattrin, and they had stalled out for over a year. There were negotiations and discussions. There was 2 buy-sell agreements sitting on the table with the drain commissioner, and nothing happened with them. And so by us taking the leadership action that we took by purchasing this, we actually are helping the taxpayers, not only by relieving that debt, but also we continued to have interest that was compounding, because this is not just a decade issue. This is 2 decades long. I think it started back in 2008. Maybe even before that. And so it's nice to see that there's potential light at the end of this tunnel, to be able to see a solution and to really have that land be purposefully used for its best benefit. So for the public.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
One more comment that I'd like to make, and this goes back to the first thing that we were talking about.
Yes, sir.
What I would like to see happen, because the one thing that I've never understood, and Alex, this is to some of the points that you were trying to make, how do you get benefit to those people that are paying those assessments? All right. In my business, when I can, whenever I have a drain that I need to work on, it's a full deduction, 100%. I can take that off. It's an improvement to the property. The same thing occurs when the drain commissioner is doing it. That's why it's a special assessment. All right. And I know we've talked about this before, but this is something we can't change, but it would have to change in state law. And those assessments, I have trouble differentiating between the fact that they're an improvement or they're not an improvement. If it's an improvement, all those people that are up there should be able to deduct them from their taxes. And so it would take a concerted effort on our part to align other counties to get state lawmakers to change that. The obvious reason that they don't want to do that is because there's no benefit to the state for that, right? But it's the same improvement. And for the life of me, I can't understand why I can have a private individual come on and tile a piece of property and deduct it, and then I can have the drain commissioner come on there and I can't do anything to deduct it. The only thing standing in the way is the state. And that's something that we could move forward, but it would take collaboration from other counties. And the same long road that it took to get internet is this road. But it's a worthwhile road. There is no reason that we can't further alleviate responsibility to the taxpayers because it's an improvement. So, it would be a long road.
Sure. Thank you. Jim, then Bob.
The 15 million for the street drain.
Yeah.
That's money that's already been spent. Okay,
Yes, sir.
is that the total cost of the project? There's no more money being spent on that then?
Yeah, so the construction award went out roughly 2 weeks ago. So Kaling Construction has the project. It is underway. Notice has been provided to the local townships, local residents. That project is underway. The loan documents are closed. The debt is finalized. So at this point, we are not in a position to stall the project. We're not in a position to stall the loan. It is done. Our best option is to refinance that debt.
No, but my question is the 15 million all of the debt? Or does that complete the project? Or is there gonna be more on top of the 15 million?
So thank you for the clarification. Yes, that is the full amount. Now, for the incoming drain commissioner, should he feel a desire to adjust it, there are some options to adjust. Essentially, how much are you holding in the form of contingency? This, at the 15 million range, I believe that there's a 15% contingency that's being held as part of that loan. That could be reduced down to 10%. There may be some opportunities for essentially value engineering. But to answer your question as simple as I can, 15 million appears to be the total number.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Bob and then Terry.
So on a positive note, the actual progress on these two topics gives me hope that we will be able to essentially get off the mainframe at some point in the future.
Well done.
Terry.
So my last question, and like John said, we really can't do anything. It's frustrating to know $15 million is being spent on one project when all of what we have as debt for all projects in every other drain project is totaling 15 million. But my question to you is, had we heard any news on the urgency of this project being escalated to happen now versus waiting until there was a change and the new year came in for January? Was there an urgency with the contractor or what?
So put simply, the drain commissioner's office made clear that there was an urgency and that they needed to move this forward. Whether or not that is a true statement, I think that could be up for some debate. The bids that were in hand, the bid that was awarded was roughly a year old. So I'm not sure I can say too much more without turning really negative. As your administrator, I asked in face-to-face and in writing, I asked him to consider a delay to issue the debt through full faith and credit, knowing full well that it would take a monumental effort to get it done. But in writing, I made clear through the board chair that the board would host a special meeting if there was a commitment to use full faith and credit. The response I got was no. So I won't go on and on.
I think you're being kind, Brian. I'll leave it at that.
See, John, you need to run? Okay. Anyone else? We still have,
Urgency was with, probably New Buffalo was not willing to wait. Chickaming was probably a 50-50. They were the ones I think that were pushing the urgency, I think.
On behalf of the two supervisors, I will tell you that both expressed a high degree of concern over the use of the private loan, and both encouraged a more thoughtful approach. but both are dealing with people that are getting flooded. And so I totally respect the need for the work.
Spring coming. I mean, it's-
Can I shut this?
Yeah.
You're gonna get it again in about 3 months.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
so Annette has kindly reminded me that you still have a couple items left on Committee of the Whole's
do.
agenda. I'll stop talking about street and let you get to those items.
Very good, thank you. PHS Chair has some information for you, and you probably all have a
You
tan
also
colored
have an
envelope.
envelope, and in it are the blank evaluation forms for the corporate counsel and the administrator. So if you could take time and turn those back in, put them in my box upstairs next week, I would really appreciate it. That way we can get this process moved forward. So it's a little different because of, for the corporate counsel, we've split up where we're looking for input that aligns more with this contract than anything else. So it's a little different than what you had last year.
Yes, sir.
As far as Brian's contract goes, last year we had goals that we were measuring him by. Are they in there this year? Do we know what the
You'll
goals are?
take a look and you can see.
Very good, thank you.
All right, we can go into public comments. Does anyone wish to be heard? Yes, sir. Name and town if you wish to opine. Even though we know who you are.
George McManus. I'm from Pearl Grange. How's that?
Okay.
Okay. I learned over the past several months that voters look at Berrien County, they look at what you provide, parks, roads, health, safety, law enforcement, so forth, economic development, and drains. And they don't see the difference between the drain office and the county commission. They're not familiar with that, right? But they expect everything, because it's a local unit of government, that there's collaboration, like Brian said, cooperation and communication. They expect that. And when they don't see that, that's when we have trouble holding our seats. So we're elected people and we're here to serve the public. And when I take office in January, I will work with you and collaborate with you and we'll get this done. The upside of this is it's because it's local. We don't have to go to Washington or Lansing for a solution. This is on us and we can take care of it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, George. Anyone else wish to be heard? All right, we'll break late and we'll try to come back in an hour. Thank you.